Hi, my name is Mason Parker with the Invasive Species Action Network. I'm here today to talk with you about invasive mussels. So, there are two types of invasive mussels that we are concerned about here in the U.S. Primarily zebra mussels and quagga mussels. They're collectively called Dreissenid mussels. So, one of the features of these mussels is a byssal thread, which connects to hard objects such as the surface of a rock or the surface of a boat. So when they connect to these, the byssal thread comes out from the shell and connects to these surfaces. And so they're able to be carried between bodies of water, so they can be carried from an infested body of water to an uninfested body of water. And that's one of the main concerns. We're looking to prevent that. So these mussels can survive for 3 to 5 days outside of water. So if someone is vacationing and they're taking their boat from one lake to another, they can easily transport those things in that amount of time. So the quagga mussels have a lifespan of about 3 to 5 years. They're about 22 millimeters wide, which is about zero point 0.8 inches. They're often lighter in color than the zebra mussels, which tend to be a little bit darker. The females are capable of producing over 1 million eggs, or excuse me, up to 1 million eggs per year. This means that they reproduce and they spread rapidly and they eat a lot. So sometimes they even eat their own villagers. And a villager is actually their offspring. So that's interesting. Um, Zebra mussels have a life cycle of 4 to 5 years, and unlike the quagga mussels, they're capable of producing over 1 million eggs per year. Um, their byssal threads are also a little bit stronger and they anchor quicker. They're also known to be actually a little bit longer than the byssal threads of the quagga mussels, which means that they have the ability to connect to a rock on the bottom of the lake, stretch out, and get up to warmer water so they can actually survive in some of the cooler climates by releasing themselves up to that warm water if they're in a cooler climate. Um, so it's thought that mussels were introduced to the Great Lakes in the late 80s. There's a lot of trade, there's a lot of ships that come in and out of the Great Lakes, and some of these have a large ballast tank inside of them. These ballast tanks bring in water and they release water. These are meant to keep the cargo safe, keep the ship balanced and down in the water. But you can also see them outside of cargo ships on wakeboarding boats. And so recreational boats for wakeboarding have ballast tanks to sink them down so that they produce a larger wake. And so the wakeboarder can use the wake to, do flips and all of that. So ballast tanks are thought to be how those are brought in and one of the ways that they are spreading. So that's something to consider. So the impacts, they spread pretty quickly. They've gone through a number of the major waterways in both the U.S. and Canada. And there have been widespread ecological and economic impacts because they are filter feeders. They remove a bunch of particles from the water column that could be feeding native clams, native mussels, small fish, which then the smaller fish feed the bigger fish. So you have a cycle that damages these native populations and makes it harder for them to survive. They also attach to everything. So whenever they'll attach to other entities, clams and mussels, and they'll smother them and outcompete them. In the same way, they connect to and attach to infrastructure and boats and water pipes, and this causes lots of damage, both for agriculture and also for water treatment plants. It can be severely impacted by the introduction of quagga and zebra mussels to a water body. So, looking at the map earlier, you might have noticed that a lot of the infested waters are in the east, which is true, but they are starting to spread into the west. So one of the primary examples I think that we see in the west for this is Lake Powell. There is a large infestation in Lake Powell, and boats that have only been on the water for 1 or 2 days can come out mussel fouled, as they say, which means that there's mussels attached to them, and they can carry them to another clean body of water that will then become infested. So there's a lot of work going on to try and contain that. I've heard of houseboats that have been on Lake Powell for years, and they come out with layers, inches and inches of mussels caked onto the bottom, and they have to go through a very stringent decontamination process. So again, once these boats leave, they go out and they could go to another body of water and they could spread. So it's important that we, as recreationists, are not contributing to the spread of these mussels throughout the West. So the best way to do that is to clean, drain, and dry your gear, whether that be a boat or a kayak or a canoe, or it could be your fishing gear. It could be your waders or your wading boots, anything like that. It's important to clean it, leave it out to dry, and make sure that your boats are drained, you've pulled the plugs, and they're good to go. There's also checkpoints that are set up throughout the West, both in the US and in Canada, to make sure that people aren't accidentally carrying invasive species in their boats. So anytime you see one of these, it's important to stop and let them look over your boat and make sure you didn't pick up anything we don't want in another clean body of water. There's many agencies, checking the waters here, making sure that they don't become infested. They're getting tested all the time. So they're doing the work because it can be hard to detect sometimes if one of these tiny little mussels gets into a previously clean body of water. It can be very hard to tell until it's too late. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, and of course, if you want more information or more videos like this one, also we have an awesome series of field day videos you can go check out on our website. That is stopais.org. So thank you for watching, and be sure to check out the rest of our content. Thanks.